It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan. This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
The 65th edition of the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals is this weekend. Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Castello, and welcome to WFO Radio NHRA Nitro podcast. We are in our 10th season, and we are going to roll out our U.S. Nationals special a little bit differently this year. Typically, we'll do a 3-hour mega mix with everybody all in there, and you're going to hear from all the drivers and all the personalities, and it is just over the top. What we have decided to do this year is roll out the interviews one by one over the next several days. So you're going to hear constant new content rolling out of WFO Radio, so be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on Spotify, follow the social media, Twitter, and Facebook, and you will not miss any of our guests. Who are our guests? I know you want to know. We have got an unbelievable lineup, all giving their preview of the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. Fast Jack Beckman going to be on the show, talk about trying to break through, win Indy, countdown hopes, his thoughts on everything that has gone on, having not won a race so far in 2019, but also we're going to ask Fast Jack about the passing of Bill Doner, the Dones, the legend from Southern California, drag racing promoter up the entire West Coast, from SoCal to Seattle. Doner brought drag racing to millions of people. Fast Jack Beckman going to give us his perspective. Also on the show this week, his thoughts on Indy and the relationship between NHRA drag racing and Hot Rod Magazine. David Freiberger going to be on the show. Freiberger created Drag Week. We're going to have Drag Week exhibition cars at the U.S. Nationals. Freiberger going to talk about his career, about Roadkill 100 episodes. It is going to be a great interview. You're not going to want to miss it. Erica Enders. Erica, the 2015 Pro Stock winner in the Mellow Yellow Series, still looking for her first win of the season, and Erica and Elite are heating up at just the right time. We're going to speak with Erica about her career and her Indy win and look forward at this year's Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. Erica Enders, Freiberger, Fast Jack, all on the show, plus Stevie Fast Jackson. He is the defending Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals winner. And a whole host of rules changes in Pro Modified have kind of thrown the boosted cars for a loop, or have they? We'll talk with Stevie Fast about his chances to go back-to-back and what are his future plans in the National Hot Rod Association. Also on the show, from Drag Racing Edge, he is the editor. John DeBartolomeo, brand new edition. It is out. Johnny D going to break down his Indy thoughts as we get ready for the big go. We'll check in with sportsman racers. Competition eliminator racer Ed Federkyle going to be on the show. Talk about a new charitable tie-in to this weekend's racing action for him. And of course, the Stress Express, Hank the Crank Stewart, going to be going out there trying to win Super Gas once again. NHRA National Dragsters Kevin McKenna going to break it all down for us. We're going to hear from a 3-time winner, John Force Racing's Robert Height, who is also the points leader. All of that rolling out on WFORadio.com and the WFO Radio NHRA Nitro podcast. And at some point, I will drop my opinions in there right as we get ready to fire cars Friday night with a little bit of Nitro and Nitro Prime Time. If you're new to the show, welcome. WFO Radio has been going for 10 years, and we have got great shows all week. You're not going to want to miss one. We're going to flood the zone with NHRA content as everybody gets fired up for the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. And I know you're wondering, you're saying, what about Alan Reinhart? Alan Reinhart is still going to kick it all off just moments from now. But first, I got to tell you, this show would not be possible without some great sponsors who have supported our effort over the years, talking about people like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and the Dragster Adventure, licensing for Super Gas, Super Comp, Top Alcohol. Go to frankhawley.com or call 866-480-7223. But the Dragster Adventure is for the adrenaline junkie. You want to drive a dragster? Call Frank Hawley or go to frankhawley.com. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Go to totalseal.com. Samtech.edu. Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Block, head, CNC programs, motorsport EFI, all available at samtech.edu. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Gourmet coffee, roasted fresh per your order, hot sauces, spice rubs, barbecues. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821. That's Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. MagicDryUS.com, the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, and Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants, stepping up to support WFO Radio in our 10th season. So let us begin. Joining us now, he'll be calling the action at the 65th Annual Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. Alan Reinhart joins us now to give his pre-race perspective. Alan, are you ready for Indy?
Yeah, I need Indy. I'm in like a deep depression, so I'm hoping that Indy will bust me out of it.
Oh, man. So pretty much like normal. What is the source of the depression this time?
My rolling suitcase finally died. It no longer can be fixed. It's going to have to be replaced.
Oh, no. Let me tell you, you're hitting home with me right there. What does one do? How did it break? Where did it break?
Well, the handle broke, and I repaired it, and the handle broke again, and there just isn't enough there to weld, and it's just, it's been around the world twice, and I think I've had it since the 90s, and it's an old Budweiser shootout bag. That'll give you an idea how long ago I got it. But it's like a member of the family, It fits perfectly in the overheads, and it carries everything I need, and we've been through so much together, and it's going in the dumpster now. So I need to break out of this funk.
Would you like me to play taps for you?
No, I don't think that'll help. I think that just make it worse, actually.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't want to tug on the heartstrings. And as much as some people out there are probably thinking, well, it's just a silly bag, I totally get what you're saying. I have grown attached to mine as well, and I've got some issues, and now I'm kind of like warming in a new one, but it's just not the same.
Well, this is the one for people that have been reading my column for a long time. This is the one that had to be, whatever it was, 5 or 6 years ago now, maybe longer than that I replaced the wheel bearings in it because I didn't want to throw it away. And I'd had it so long and used it so much that the wheel bearings actually wore out. So I went to the trouble to replace the wheel bearings so I didn't have to replace the bag. And I bought it a few more years, but I still know, I absolutely know that somebody in Indy has one of these where, they were on a team because it was one of the gifts that they gave to all the teams that qualified for the Bud Shootout. And somebody was on the team and got this thing and went, oh, yeah, that thing's nice, and threw it in the storeroom, and it's still sitting there. So if I can find that guy, I'll buy that bag from him, and then hopefully I'll be good to go another 20 years. But, in the meantime, I'm depressed.
I can imagine. Well, let's talk about the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals and try to break you out of the funk. So many things going on. In addition to the Mellow Yellow Series, I was just looking at an entry list, over 20 top-fueled dragsters, 19 funny cars at the moment, 21 Pro Stockers, Pro Stock Motorcycle, of course, the return of E3 Sparkplugs Pro Modified, the return of Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, the final race of the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidsons. There is a lot to cover. Class elimination, stock, super stock, some things that some racers, that's all that they care about. There's a lot going on. So many places to start. Let's start off with Factory Stock Showdown, since you this past weekend had a brush with many of the racers. What were you doing?
Actually, you know what? You just fixed my funk. Listening to all that, it's like, you know what? Yeah, a suitcase, Who cares about a suitcase? Give me a freaking pillowcase. I'll throw my junk in it and be ready to go.
So true.
So
so
thanks,
true.
Joe. We fixed that.
Yes, I'll send the invoice.
I'll buy you a beer in Indy. We'll call it good.
Deal.
Looking forward to the Factory Stock Showdown being back on track. Yeah, I was at the NMCA race, which runs a little bit of a different rules package, but very, very similar to what we do in NHRA. There was, I believe, 27 of them there. Some of them use that race to test, but they, watching those cars run and, watching them run solid 7-second runs and just lap after lap, you realize what everybody got so excited about the Class 4 in the first place. They're real cars that look like real cars that people can identify with, and it should be fun to have them back on track. With a 32-car field at Indy, and I believe that's about what we're going to have for a field. I know there's a couple of guys that have wounded things or had other issues and withdrew or decided not to come. But I do believe we're going to have, if we don't have 32, we're going to have darn close to it, and it should be a war to get the trophy out of there.
Yes, exactly. And the whole idea, even if we have, 30, okay, it's not about did you qualify. This is race day magic now. Like, can you put it together? Can you get down the track, take down a quicker opponent? And to me, that's the golden era drag racing stuff that people always say that they like. Back in the day, there were like 4 cars that had a shot at low ET, and everybody else was just trying to figure it out. And that's what this is going to be. You're going to have some underdog stories, some opportunities for people to go out there and show that they've got actual, eliminations savvy.
Well, the beauty of the class, I think, aside from, what I said before about how they're so identifiable for the fans, is that you have more power than tire. And that is a great equalizer. As we've seen since this class came into inception, there's a lot of times when the perceived quickest car or the best qualified car has problems managing the power. And you can go up there and smoke the tires, and that can happen to anybody. And that really levels the playing field a little bit and, brings in the tuner savvy as much as the driver if he's got to try to save it and get the thing down the racetrack. And that's just one more thing that just makes the class so much fun to watch, is it is not very predictable on race day, no matter where you qualified. It's just not an easy class to predict on race day.
And seeing names on the entry list, like, Kim and Nick Shirley, for instance, names that I don't have experience with these folks who are coming out, maybe running NHRA, and they're going to dive into it and give it their best. And who knows how far they will go. Maybe they will become the Cinderella story we talk about for years to come. That's what it's all about. Dustin Wheelock, guys on the entry list, and we got a lot of cars. I got 31 cars at the moment for Factory Stock Showdown on the entry list.
It should be fun. There's no question. One of the teams that was running at Norwalk this past weekend was the Don Schumacher team, and Mark Powick's car ran very, very well. So whether or not they actually found something, but they sure looked like they were closer to the field than those cars had been earlier in the year. Leah wasn't there. She had some other obligations, but Kevin Helms made a couple of hits driving her car, and looks like, it's ready to go racing as well. So, this is basically where Leah started the championship run last year, and we're just going to have to wait and see if the Dodgers come back to life. So far this year, the Fords have pretty much ruled the roost. The Chevrolets have got a couple of knocks in, but the Fords have looked like they've had the cars to beat, and we'll see if that trend continues or if we see a changing of the tide here.
That is a fact, and Leah was on this show a week ago talking about her win out there in Brainerd, but while we spoke with her, we did something additional for Factory Stock Podcast where she talks a little bit about going on that run last year, winning the U.S. Nationals, where that win ranked compared to everything else she has done in her career, and whether El Bandito could do it again. So that'll be coming out this week on Factory Stock Podcast. Looking at the Pro Mod entry list, same deal. Wow, just names and names and names. 26 cars on the entry list, and there were some rules changes. So there's been a lot of testing going on, and a lot of people sorting things out. One in particular I know of is Stevie Fast Jackson, who is the points leader and defending race winner and on a total mission to win the championship. But given the reduction in boost, etc., they've had to go back to work. Very, very similar to the Showdown cars.
You're exactly right. And I think it'll be interesting to see how many nitrous cars show up, because I think that the rule changes might have brought a couple of the mothballed nitrous players out of the works. Anytime there's a change like that, and I have not heard a whole lot about testing. There certainly have been, these guys are testing and those guys are testing, but it's I haven't heard anything about, these guys feel really confident or these guys are running really fast. And it's difficult when the rules change to know exactly where you stand. Even, years ago when I was working with David in the pro stock world, if we were going to go testing and we wanted to really be testing race stuff, we had to have somebody else there. Because if you go out and run whatever you run, if you're the only car there, you really don't know, is that great? Is that okay? Is that, not great? But if you've got 2 or 3 cars that are on the same track, then you've got somebody that you can compare with. And I haven't heard anybody come out publicly, at least, and say, okay, yeah, we feel pretty confident. We think we got it. We're looking good. So I believe this is going to be the most wide open pro modified race that we've seen this year.
And rightfully so. This is the U.S. Nationals, and I would imagine and I would hope that there's people keeping things secret, right? There's all kinds of secret stuff going on. Maybe people don't want to let other people know where they are at. Looking at the entry list, by the way, Ricky has entered the nitrous car. At least that's what it says.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that I think came about when the rule change came, was that Ricky said, okay, now I can go back to that because he feels that he can be more competitive. He certainly is more comfortable in the nitrous car.
Absolutely. And we're building to the Mellow Yellow Series conversation, as we'll build to the Mellow Yellow Series this week. You and Brian Loans will be in there beginning on Wednesday, and on NHRA.TV, they're going to stream all of it. I am excited for that. Wednesday, just to get the Indy going on in the background, but Thursday, class eliminations, which to a lot of people, and I try to explain this, and it was hard for me to understand until I really went to my first Indy and realized it, that class eliminations in stock and super stock to those guys in many ways is as significant as the eliminator. And when they win class, it's a huge, huge deal for them.
It absolutely is. And that goes back to the days when you had to win class in order to be in the final eliminator. They would take everybody would run class eliminations, and then they would take the A class winner, the B class winner, the C class winner, and bring them forward, handicap them against each other, and that's how you won Indy. But you had to win class, in essence, just to qualify for the event. And for the old school racers, they still feel like that's a huge deal. If you've got 6 cars or 8 cars, or probably, I haven't seen the entry list, but I bet we get B automatic, C automatic, some of those things. We might have as many as 12 or 14 cars. And to go out there and prove that I have the fastest car in the country in this class is really saying something. And that's what makes it so fun. Yeah, the goal, and Brian and I haven't talked about this, but we will. Our goal for Thursday is to try to just absolutely stop productivity in every shop in the country that has NHRA.TV, because they're going to be wanting to tune in and watch stock class for the first time.
And rightfully so. And I think, I don't want to say it's been undersold, because there is a U.S. Nationals package on NHRA.TV and the full event and all of that stuff. But the idea, if you've got a race car shop and you're interested in this style of racing, or, historically going way back, this is, from what I understand, the first time that you could really watch that aspect without being on the property as part of the event. And that, to me, is a game changer. I often think class eliminations could stand on its own, right? We got TV shows about all kinds of different drag racing. Class eliminations, stock, super stock, I think it's got the juice to stand on its own as its own level of entertainment. I am hoping people are logged on and signed on and watching from wherever they are. I know I will be as I make my way to Indianapolis on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have a pretty solid following. The Warren Evans, who has done the D3 TV stuff for a number of years, is going to come in and do the first couple of days. And, what Indy was always all about as far as the live stream was everything we did basically piggybacked on the television truck. And the television truck isn't there set up and running until Friday. So Wednesday and Thursday was just an audio only. But discussions at headquarters, and I had nothing to do with this. I'm not in the corporate office out there, but discussions at headquarters are like, look, our fans really want this. This is a really big deal. We need to do something. And so the decision was made to have Warren come in and do the first couple of days, and then we'll switch over to our regular NHRA.TV broadcast starting Friday or Friday afternoon. But the fact that there's so many of our fans out there that want to see class eliminations and want to be able to see the early days, And I applaud the management for making the decision to do this.
No, absolutely. And that answers the question that so many people have all the time, and that they do not spend any time investigating the answer because they could get it pretty easily. You know, why on a Hardcore Thursday is it audio only as opposed to video? And the answer is all NHRA.TV for the most part runs through the television production trucks, which do not arrive on the property until Thursday in many cases because they are involved in other sports broadcast. It's a whole thing. And so it's very good that they're going to have Warren out there who does his own thing and does a lot of the D3 TV, et cetera, as you mentioned, and does a great job. We're going to see this. We're going to see class eliminations at the Big Go. Super exciting. Now, all categories, obviously, top alcohol dragster, top alcohol funny car, competition eliminator. We're going to hear from Ed Federkyle, who's put together a big program this week on the show. Every category, Indy is a game changer. If you can win this, you've done something special.
Well, it's the old classic story. Once that's on your resume, it's with you for life. And at the end of the year, who won the championship? Who won Indy? Those are the two big questions that always get asked. Obviously it's the oldest, it's the most prestigious, it's the biggest. And even though times have changed and there are some people that will tell you, well, it's just another race. Not the people that have been around for a long time and understand, just how special it is. And I still think, one of the reasons I like to get up and go to the racetrack early in the morning is just to be out there. And there are certain racetracks that you can just kind of feel the history when you go out there and you understand that this place is special because this or this or this or this happened right here on the same spot, on the same piece of property, on the same racetrack. And you just keep building on the legacy. And so that's one of the things that makes Indy a must see or a must experience at least once in a lifetime for any drag racing fan. And I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. Well, I've watched it on TV for years, but when I walked into the place, I finally understood why it was special or why it was different, because you can actually feel the history of the place. At least I can.
Absolutely. Ron Capps on the show last week talking about, every pebble that you drive over in the pits. Garlitz might have driven over that same pebble, right, in a significant year, Prudhomme, that kind of stuff. And so it's very cool. And by the way, not necessarily unique to drag racing. We're drag racing, but any historic event that is the most significant of whatever it is, think about the Masters or otherwise, that's why it's a big deal. And it's not just like another race. Hey, I'm looking at the entry list on Top Alcohol Funny Car. I see Chris Marshall is on the list, which is exciting because I put a 110 all I had guilt job on him in the winner's circle in Seattle. Maybe it worked.
Yeah, I listened to that intently. I think that's great. The guys from Rad Torque Systems, which are big up in the northwest part of the country, got on board with him, kind of a stick your toes in the water sponsorship thing out in Seattle. And when he won that race, I think they decided that they would go ahead and give him some more backing and get him back out on the road. And I think that's great. The Rad guys have sponsored a lot of cars up in that part of the country, mostly, top dragster, top sportsmen, that kind of machine. But deciding to get involved with an alcohol funny car, I think, is good. And I think they like the exposure they got, both from at the racetrack and on the television show. And, Chris Marshall came within a throttle cable breaking of winning the U.S. Nationals last year. And that's just one of those heartbreaking things. I'm out in front. I'm driving away. There's no way I can lose this race as long as, oh, my God, why did the engine quit? And the reason is because the throttle cable broke, and Sean Bellemere was able to pass him at the top end of the racetrack. But had the race won, and now he'll have an opportunity to go back and take another crack at it.
Oh, it hurts just hearing the story again. It hurts. I can remember exactly what my eyes were seeing at that moment. Of course, Bellemere goes on to win the championship. Very happy for him. It was a huge victory for him. But they were behind, and Marshall was winning and having a great weekend. Maybe they can go back and the Marshall team can make it right here in 2019. Same situation in Top Alcohol Dragster. You got Megan Meyer, Sean Cowie, Troy Coughlin Jr. bringing their championship fight to Lucas Oil Raceway.
Well, I guarantee you, I can tell you what Sean Cowie's telling him. Bring it.
Bring it.
Come on. I'm ready for you. A lot of racing left to go. And I'm still very surprised, and I don't know why. I should have reached out to TJ and asked him why they didn't race in Brainerd when all the other players were there. But you know what? Sean Cowie went in there, didn't have the best car in qualifying by a long shot, but he did win the race, and that was key, especially the final round over Megan when, it's a big swing when not only did I get more points, but I kept you from getting points at the same time. And he's going to go into Indy, I think, with the same mentality. We need to just keep beating these guys down because they're going to keep coming after us as long as they can.
I talked to Woody, and you're talking about Scott Woodruff from Jegs PR, and I posed your question because you had mentioned it, and I saw him like literally moments later, and he gave me the idea that it was strategic, that there's a lot that goes into deciding which races they run and they do not run, and they decided to not run that race for a reason that had to do with the championship. And he felt pretty confident. It wasn't like something happened or it was part of the plan, is the way it was relayed to me.
All right. Well, I guess we'll all see how the plan turns out as the year continues on. But I have always liked the guys that go where the fight is. I remember way back when Blaine and Alan Johnson were racing, and they'd have their score up on the board, and let's say, hey, Chuck Baird's got a chance to beat us. If he wins the next two races, he's got a chance to beat us. Where's Chuck racing? He's racing in Atlanta this weekend. We'll load the damn truck. We're going to Atlanta. And, can't claim a single point, but their mission was, we need to stop him. We can't rely on anybody else to do it. And they won 4 straight championships with that mentality. And I like the races with that mentality. It's like, where's everybody going that can hurt us? Let's get up there and stop them. And, strategy's great. If you can make it work, then more power to you. There's a lot of ways to gain points throughout the course of the year. But I've always been a fan of the guys that look and go straight after the people that they need to go after. And that's what Sean Cowie's doing right now.
Absolutely. So true. So true. 52 comp cars currently entered. So Competition Eliminator going to be a war, no doubt, out there at the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. For the first time ever, Top Sportsman and Top Dragster will be contested at the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals, which is going to be great. And I hear that Afton and Joe Swanson got in on the entry list because it took so many grading points to get in. That's the thing. For those categories, like, you have to be a very accomplished racer. Everybody wanted to be part of this the first time, and just entering was a challenge.
Well, it's set up like that for a reason, because NHRA wants to reward the teams that support them out there on the division trail. And, if you only go to 2 division races a year, but I want to go to Indy. Well, you know what? A guy that goes to 6 division races a year should have preference in entry. And that's the way it works in the sportsman categories. When they'll open it up to, whatever the threshold is. If you got 7 grade points, you can enter. As of next week, if you got 6 grade points, you can enter. As of next week, if you got 5 grade points, you can enter. So it's tilted towards the racers that support NHRA strongly on the division level to give them the first shot at it, as it should be. I think you should reward your best customers no matter what business you're in. And then if there are still entries open when it gets down to the lower grade points, well, then, come on in, the water's fine. But if, for instance, if your quota is, whatever the number is, 20 cars, if there's 27 grade point guys that want in, well, you know what, that's it. You want in next year? Go run some division races, and then you kind of earn the right to get that early entry or that pre-entry, if you will. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where the bump is, because all the fast guys I know wanted to be at Indy. So, I think 6'10" obviously is the floor of the class. I think you're going to be able to run 6'15" or 6'14" and maybe be 12th. Time will tell, but I know that a lot of the fast guys were looking at going there, and even the guys that are kind of, maybe bubble qualifiers. Division 3 is always tough. They've had bump spots in the 640 range just at a regular division race. And this is going to be even tougher. But I think if you've had something, kind of sitting under the bench for a while, or something that you haven't unleashed, now's going to be the time to do it, just to make sure you get into the show.
Alan Reinhart is the voice of the NHRA, and we're having an in-depth pre-65th Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals conversation here on WFO Radio Podcast. We have yet to even discuss the Mellow Yellow Series, which is one of the great things about it, but also a great challenge, right? Like, how do you tell 15 unbelievable stories like the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidson Series championship story, where Ty Tharp is 27 points ahead of Doug Vansel the year after Doug Vansel entered the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals with the lead, and Ty Tharp won it in the final round of the final race over him. a chance to turn the tables. Just this alone is high-level entertainment.
And I think that what is going to be the highlight of the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley thing is having Bo Lane back at the racetrack. He won't be in competition, but my understanding is that he's planning to come out there for the weekend, and I believe he's going to come up and spend some time in the booth with us. And, you know, the fans, I've gotten emails and a lot of stuff about how's he doing, what happened after, of course, the high-speed accident up in Seattle. And I think him coming back to the racetrack is going to be the highlight. Whoever wins the championship, I just think it's going to be great having Bo back out there, especially if he has the time and is willing to come up and sit in the booth for Sunday's final eliminations and tell some inside stories about these guys, because obviously, you know, he's as inside as it gets when it comes to Mickey Thompson Harleys.
Absolutely. That is what I'm hearing as well. And Bo, even missing a race, still sitting third in the points standings. And Ricky House has had a quick and fast bike. It's been very interesting to see Randall Andrus coming on the scene, but the championship will be decided between Ty and Doug Vansel. And just so many different things going on out there. In addition to the racing, open houses. I know that Cruise is going to have one, and DSR usually has one, and all of that. I want to give some love to our Super Gas and Super Comp racers. Already talked about Stock and Super Stock, but the Mellow Yellow Series now. The interesting storylines, for instance, Top Fuel, the Torrance train, are they going to get rolling again? Antron Brown, can they break through? They've had a good points season. Could someone like a TJ Zizzo, who every time they come out with the car, they perform well, become a Cinderella story on this given year?
And the answer to all those questions is yes. All of those things certainly could happen. And whether or not they will, now that's why we line up and race the things. But I also, I just noticed Steve Johnson is back on the entry list for the Pro Stock motorcycle, so it'll be nice to have him back on the property as well. But you just look at Indy, and everybody wants to put their best foot forward. It was very interesting to me that the Indy test didn't take place this year. There were a few teams that stayed in Brainerd and tested a little bit on Monday, and a couple of cars that went down to Lucas Oil Raceway and made some test runs. But I think most of the teams are pretty confident in what they've got right now, and they're ready to get in and get after it. It's just such a special thing to do. When JR won it the first year, he had, all the tears in his eyes. And when he came back and did it again last year, you could see that after a year, the realization that not only did we do this, but we've now done it twice. And there's no other race on the tour that makes racers feel that way, literally from stock eliminator all the way through Top Fuel.
And we have mentioned Terry McMillan was one of the cars, I believe, that was testing at Lucas Oil Raceway, and I understand why. They find themselves holding on to that 10th spot, but just a couple of points ahead of Scott Palmer, a few more ahead of Billy Torrance. Everyone needs to be reminded that it is 1.5 points for everything, including qualifying points, at the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. And so going out, get a couple qualifying points here and there. I know Rob Wendland and Terry are capable of doing that. They've got a quick car, just have had tough luck over the course of the year, but that 10th spot, it means everything to whoever's got it, and they're going to fight for it.
Well, they had a good car, talking about Terry McMillan, they had a good car at the beginning of the year, but it really has not been that good a car the last 5 or 6 races, certainly not consistent. They've been able to make good, clean runs from time to time, but they haven't been able to string those runs together, and I think that's what's eluding them, and that's why they wanted to go and do some testing. Don't forget they won Indy last year. So that place has been good to them, but you've got to go in there with some kind of a comfort level, and I think they had to go make a couple of test runs because they just don't seem right now to have that comfort level that they had earlier in the year.
Absolutely. The defending winner. You want to go out there and do something and make something happen. There are the stories that we follow each year, the drivers who are longtime racers that are trying to break through and get their first Indy win. We spoke with Ron Capps last week, and he brought it up. We were talking about this is history. This is what it's all about. The U.S. Nationals. Look at a guy like J.R. Todd, as you mentioned, back-to-back wins. They're going for 3 in a row. I don't know when the last time that happened, but just so many cross stories of what will go down.
And that's why we go there, and that's why it's an extra long race. That's why they have the extra qualifying session, because it is that important. And every year we go in there and go, okay, there's all these possibilities. Which one's going to actually come true? And every year, at least me, I walk away Monday going, wow. So that's the way it's going to go this year, huh? And, and then we come back next year and relive the whole thing all over again. But 2 years ago, J.R. Todd certainly wasn't the favorite to win Funny Car, but he did it. Last year, going in, nobody said, okay, I'm putting all my money on Terry McMillan to win this race. But he did it. And so many things play out at Indy that are just larger than life because of the stage. And that's just Indy. That's what it's all about. The mystique of the place is that the stage is so much bigger, and however the story plays out, it's always bigger because it happened there.
Ray Martin on the entry list in Fuel Funny Car in the Worsham machine. That's kind of cool. Ray, who has run alcohol funny cars and top sportsman cars and has been successful, going to jump in at the Nationals big show fuel car. That's cool.
Yeah, and might as well. You got to start someplace, and that Worsham car is not a bad car. I'm not saying it's like ready to be a championship contender, but Chuck and Dell know how to run that thing and get it down the racetrack. They're probably not a good bet for low ET, but they are going to be a tough out on Monday. They always are when they bring that car out.
Pro Stock, one spot remaining. You got Fernando Quadra, Kenny Delco, and Val Smeeland. Delco and Smeeland are pretty much team cars, and Fernando is one of the KB-powered machines, all fighting for that last spot. So significance on the line at the bottom half of the top 10, or certainly for the last spot. Meanwhile, at the top, it's Indy once again. But the way Jason Line ran out there in Brainerd, if that's what it's going to be like, is that a one-off, or did they find something? I think that's the question on everyone's mind. Erica was right there, too, and I think that question goes for her as well.
Well, no disrespect to Erica, because her car ran very well in Brainerd. She absolutely was, stride for stride with Jason all the way to the final round. But it really looks to me like the KB cars right now are the cars to beat. And I'm talking about Greg and Jason. Bo's car's running well, but early in the year, Bo had a good car and just a magic touch, and he hasn't seemed to have the magic touch anymore. Although he's got a good car, but it really looks to me like the KB cars are the ones to beat right now.
It will be interesting, and of course, Pro Stock Motorcycle back now for the rest of the season, the rest of the ride, and that it's Can somebody stop the Harleys, meaning Matt Smith, right? Matt Smith, Jerry Savoy looked pretty good at times, but really it's been the Andrew Hines show. Does Eddie turn it around on Andrew? Does Andrew keep on rolling? These are the questions. Can Angel get a win on their new machines? But I know Matt Smith is making a lot of power, and he's quick and fast, but to string them all together, I don't know. But winning Indy, it's definitely possible.
Yeah, it is. And I'm wondering, you remember what Matt did last year when he just kept himself in the championship conversation, and then at the end of the year, he had a motor that he'd just been saving to spring on everybody, and he came out and dominated Pomona and won the championship with it. And I'm wondering if he's kind of building towards something like that again this year. He's shown some brilliant power from time to time. Little Hector has shown some great runs from time to time also, but Andrew Hines is on a mission after what happened to him last year, going the entire calendar year without winning a race for the first time in his career. He came back very focused, and they're just not making mistakes. And that team, it's not like the Harleys make a lot of them anyway, but when you've got the extra intense focus that Andrew seems to have right now, he just is almost unstoppable.
Yes, and he is. He's at another level, racing at another level this whole season. And let's face it, he was already the winningest racer in Pro Stock Motorcycle of all time, and just got his act together this past offseason and has been uncorking a can of just whoop 'em on everybody else, at least so far. Alan, here we go. It is U.S. Nationals Week. Any other thoughts, final thoughts, ideas, concepts you want to spring on the audience out there before we, get rolling and uncork a whole host of interviews with many different personalities that'll be going after it, some of which as early as Wednesday when you and Brian take the mic?
No, I'm ready to get to it. We talk about it, we hype it, we build up to it, and everybody, once you get to the western swing, everybody starts kind of looking forward towards Indy because you know that the clock is ticking and it's counting down. I think it's time to get to it. Enough talk. It's time for some action. We'll have cars on the racetrack on Wednesday and again on NHRA.tv. Video Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Tune in and keep track of whatever your favorite class is. The video is going to be up all 6 days, and I'm ready. I am ready.
I am ready. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much here on WFO Radio Podcast. Appreciate it. I will see you on Thursday afternoon when I roll in. Very excited, and I'll be watching on NHRA.tv along the way. Hopefully, this is a communal thing, right? Like it's Super Bowl Sunday. Everybody has the pregame on the whole time all the way through the very end of the game. And that's how it should be, except this Super Bowl Sunday starts Wednesday morning at like 8 a.m. and lasts until Monday night. And it's going to be drag racing nonstop everywhere for everybody that cares about it for the next week.
I'm ready. Everything I've seen says we're supposed to have pretty decent weather for the weekend, and if that's the case, then it'll be quick, it'll be fast, and it'll be just a little bit more Indy history by the time we're all done with it.
My condolences on your travel bag. Good luck with that pillowcase.
All right. Yeah, thanks. I actually feel better now. When you're talking about Indy starts tomorrow, then you know what? Travel bag, it's just a travel bag.
Just a travel bag. They sell them in the airport.
3 times
no
around
problem.
the world and 2 million miles in the air, and
you don't have
kept my stuff.
You don't have to throw it away. You could build like an altar to it in one of the corners of your house, like a pedestal. You put it up there. You get a placard. You show the miles. Shine it up.
I'm not that much of a nut job.
All right. I just wanted to offer it to you as an option. You could also take a picture of it and put it in your phone and then throw it away.
Yeah. Okay. But if somebody in Indy's got one of those things sitting in a storeroom, I'll pay you cash for it.
There it is, everybody. Make it happen, okay? All you people, big bug shootout people back in the day, I know you got one of those, and it's just sitting there, and it's taking up space. Let's sell this thing to Reinhart with a huge markup and then a taste for Castello because of the podcast. Did I say that? I think I did.
No, I didn't hear it.
Good. Alan, I'll see you out there. Thank you so much.
Travel safe, Joe. We'll talk soon.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart will be calling the action beginning on Wednesday at the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. And the new style with which we're rolling out WFO Radio for this year's U.S. Nationals to give more people the opportunity to hear what we're doing here on WFO Radio. Big thanks to Alan Reinhart, who has been with us all 10 of those years. Freiberger, Beckman, Erica Enders, Stevie Fast, K-Mac, Johnny D, Ed Fetterkyle, Hank the Crank, Robert Height, all coming up this week on WFO Radio. You're not going to want to miss it. So subscribe. Go to WFOradio.com. Figure out which way is best for you. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast, just click subscribe and you'll never miss an edition of WFO Radio. And those interviews are going to be rolling out very, very soon. So stay tuned and be ready. Watch for those push notifications if you have the WFO Radio mobile application, because we are diving in deep with the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. And big thanks to our sponsors, talking about Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, TotalSeal.com, Samtech.edu, Motorsport EFI, CNC, Block, Head Machining. Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, Samtech.edu. And oh, by the way, a brand new factory stock podcast. Apple Podcast, Spotify is available. We have got Leah. We have got Kurt Collins from Chevrolet. We have got Daryl Herron, Bo Butner's crew chief. You're going to hear from Jason Line. You're going to hear from Brian Massengill. We have got a great edition of Factory Stock Podcast available very soon. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Hot sauces, spice rub, gourmet coffee roasted fresh for your order. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Magic Drive, US.com. Hit the website, the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, and Hankstafers Metalworking Lubricants, Hankstafers.com, and of course, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure, licensing programs, everything you could want. You can even bring your own car. Give them a call, 866-480-7223. This is just the beginning U.S. Nationals interviews rolling out all week on WFOradio.com. Subscribe, be ready, download the free WFO Radio mobile application, enable push notifications, and you'll never miss a show. Fast Jack, the next one coming. Be ready.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, engine builders, Total Seal piston rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com. Your education. What are you going to do with your life? That is what it's all about. And samtech.edu can help you figure it all out. The School of Automotive Machinists and Technology always says start your education at full speed because they will get you in, get you started, get you learning rapidly. The school is located in the Houston, Texas area. They've got a great campus. They're always expanding. But most importantly, their relationships within the performance industry is what sets them apart. We're talking about block programs, head programs, CNC programs, motorsport EFI tuning, all part of Samtech. They can even help persons that are eligible under the GI Bill. Go to the website, samtech.edu, or call 713-683-3817. Would you rather do something you love as your job? I know I would. samtech.edu.
This is WFO Radio.